Okay, so welcome to our live stream today. I'm James from iChongqing, and joining me today is the lovely
Kelly. We also from iChongqing.
Okay, so Kelly, have you done a live stream with us before?
Yes, I went to this live stream in this International Culture and Tourism Expo.
Yeah, how did it go?
I did very well, and we have displayed a lot of culture stuff to our overseas audience.
Yeah, and I suppose in the past I didn't do a lot of live streams, but the past 2 months I've been doing quite a lot. Yeah, so recently we did one in Fungjie only a week or two ago. I think it was last week. But I'm sometimes so busy I can't even remember what day it is half the time. And also the last time I did a live stream on Cheltenham Docks with Xiao as well. So Xiao, if you're watching, my hello to you. Okay, so it's a pleasure to be with you today. So today our topic is going to be about poverty alleviation.
Yes.
So do you know much about that topic in China?
Yeah, I love that China just set up this 5-year plan about this help the last one of the poor and put this poverty alleviation on the top agenda of their government work. And this 5-year plan is from the 2016 until 2020, which means this year. And this year is the final year for China to eradicate the poverty in this country and to make everyone just living in the poverty area out of this poverty.
Great, and something that's very impressive as well is that I think the original goals were set for 2030 to eradicate poverty in China, but that was brought up in advance to 2020. Yeah. So and I've seen for myself over the last few years, a lot of work has been going on, especially infrastructure projects in the countryside and also rural revitalisation projects as well, which has really helped the impoverished communities not only come out of poverty, but also learn to and also be able to support themselves by running their own agriculture and other businesses as well, which we will talk about later in the show today. Before we get into that, though, perhaps we just say hello to the audience as well. So we've got the laptop next to us here. So unlike past live streams, we're going to be able to see your messages in real time. So please feel free to make your comments, ask us questions if you're curious about anything. And also, if there's any issues with the sound or anything, then please let us know.
Yes. And first of all, say hi to Frank. Good morning, but here is afternoon. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so about 3 o'clock in the afternoon here in Chongqing. Yeah, but a warm welcome to Farouk Rocky. I hope I pronounced your name right. Yeah, but thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, and also Echo. Hi.
Okay, so Echo Chung.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome to the show. Also, before we get into the discussion topic for today, we've chosen another special and unique location here in Chongqing. So perhaps Kelly, do you want to tell everybody where we're doing this live stream from?
Oh, here we're in the very cozy place to enjoy this English style tea, and here we also get some snacks and those red tea. Yeah, it's very nice and cozy environment here. And with the background, we have got this soft music and just a little relaxed style to talk about this topic. And have this James to share his interview story about the China's poverty alleviation campaign.
Yeah, so we're in a lovely place with a nice ambience here. Perhaps I'll just show you some of the things we've got here, because I'm sure you'll be very curious. So here, got a nice teapot, full of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what do you think? What do you think of the flavour?
It's good. It's very traditional English tea, and it's quite local, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got the teapot. We've got the traditional cutlery, like the dishes, the cups. And I suppose the most interesting thing, if I lift this up and show you,
Mhm.
So I know, Kelly, have you ever tried these before?
Yeah, I tried, but I think after this program, I will try more of this. It looks so yummy.
Yeah, I mean, those sandwiches look nice, but I would definitely recommend the scones.
Okay.
We've got the jam and the cream in there. So if you so perhaps during the live stream today, you can try one of those.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, I have to admit, when I grew up in England, we didn't normally have tea like this. So this is also a very special experience for me as well.
Or maybe combine the Chinese one with the English style together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Okay.
chips, our friends. Oh, and said she loves black tea and crackers too.
Oh, black tea and crackers. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
those. Yeah, some crackers with a bit of butter and some cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of those.
And Michelle is Long John from Chicago. Hi.
Okay, hello, John from Chicago. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Oh, Long John Silver. Isn't Long John Silver? It's the name of a pirate, I think.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Okay, so like we said, our topic today then is going to be about poverty alleviation. So before we look into a series of photographs, I'll just give a small background as well. So this year, one of my biggest topics with iChongqing has been, of course, poverty alleviation. And we've been to a number of the counties in Chongqing, particularly been to Shizhou County, not too far from Chongqing. I've been to Wushan in the countryside there, that's in the far northeast. I've been to Chengkou County, which is kind of in the far northwest of Chongqing, and also done other trips as well to Pengshui, which is close to the border with Guizhou in the south. And then just in the first week of this month, I went to a town called Nishi in the county of Yunyang as well. So I've got a number of photographs which I think really encapsulate some of the more interesting highlights of the trips we've been making. So we're going to bring them on the screen and show you, and then I'm going to try and describe to you the story behind them.
Yeah, we noticed a lot of photos you have taken during your interview experience.
Yeah.
So, can you share some story of that, or maybe show some photos of this?
Okay, so we've gone to the first photograph.
Yes. So, here's.
Okay, the photo's coming, I think. Just let's update. Okay, here we are.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so the first trip we made was in March earlier this year, and we went to a town called Zhongyixiang, in the heart of the Sizhou countryside. And this town became quite famous nationwide. Do you know why?
Why? Oh, because I know this once the President Xi visited over there, started his inspection tour over there, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so Chongqing, before now, had 18 designated impoverished areas or highly impoverished areas. Yeah, so it's my understanding now that all of them have risen out of poverty. But it's precisely because of that reason that in April 2019, President Xi went to this town, and he actually went to the home of the gentleman in the picture here. So this man's name is called Tan Dengzhou, and he was a special case because he went back into poverty because of health expenses. So a big problem of country residents in the past is that when they fell ill or they had an accident, they were responsible for their own medical fees. And as you might know, if you pay for operations yourself, sometimes the expense can be quite considerable. Is that right?
Yeah, it will expensive. It's quite expensive, and it will cost all of their savings. And I think this President Xi, once he just demanded this two low worried 3 guarantees, and in one of the 3 guarantees includes this basic health care.
Okay, yeah. So the policy that they were working on was called the two non-concerns and three guarantees. So the two non-concerns, can you remember what they were?
Yes, just don't worry about clothing and don't worry about food.
Yeah.
And these three guarantees about this basic health care and the housing and also education.
Right. So a number of years ago, I think when he was in his early 70s, Tandem Joe, he's working in his fields, but he had an accident. He had quite a serious fall, and he injured himself. And I think after he stayed in a hospital in Chongqing, and he had over 100,000 yuan of medical fees. I mean, I don't know how much that would be in US dollars. So 100,000 yuan. Kind of talking maybe about over 10,000, maybe 10 to 11,000 UK pounds. So that'd be the case, maybe 12 or 13,000 US dollars, maybe. Yeah, which I suppose for somebody in Suzhou County in the countryside, that's a considerable amount.
Yeah, it's maybe the cost of all his savings and he couldn't afford that. And just come back to these photos, and he just stand by this bee box.
Yeah, beehives.
Beehives, and now he is meant to collect honeys, right? And this is a big industry, and also the county also sell this products to outside of this Suzhou County. You can share more story about.
Yeah, okay. If we go back just a few steps, so he had his accident, and then he was in a lot of medical debt. But then in 2017, I think, or 2018, the two non-concerns and three guarantees came in, and he was eligible for the medical care program. So he was able to get reimbursed for, I think, over 90% of his medical fees. And the remaining 10%, he paid a little bit by himself. But there were also many well-wishers as well, who also donated as well. So this resolved the problem of his medical debt. But then the other side to his rise out of poverty was the infrastructure projects and also the rural revitalization. So when I went to Zhongyixiang, I spoke with a lot of the residents there, and they told me that only just a few years ago, the roads were not paved; they were just dirt roads, and they were very narrow, very dangerous, very slow, very inconvenient. But in recent years, they've been widened and they've also been paved. So it's very easy for our cars to kind of pass each other in either direction on the roads there. Yes, so now the transport links are very convenient. And then also what happened, because now his kind of retirement age is in his 70s, and he's kind of old now. And when I interviewed him as well, he was obviously kind of feeling a little bit tired as well, because not only his age, but also his past injuries as well. So one thing that he started doing was apiculture, like the beekeeping. Yeah, so they had some people. The local government invited experts in beekeeping into the town, and they trained over a couple of months Tandem Joe, and not only him but also other individuals, rural residents, and how to keep bees. And the hives you can see in the picture at the moment were also made by themselves as well. Yeah, so, and actually there were so many people in Zhongyi village now making honey that it's actually called Fumigu. Yeah, Zhongguo Fumigu. So it's actually called the Honey Valley of China. Yeah, so it's a big producer of honey now in Chongqing.
They sell this online to outside of this small village, and I remember some of my family's members also bought some of these honey products from just from this China honey valley over there. And just in China, just give Chinese government give them some money to them, just a very short term solution to solve the problem of this poverty. But in the long term, for China's government, their long term solution is to this industry and employment based development.
That's right. And another aspect as well, which we'll deal with a little bit later, is also the e-commerce side of it. So we'll also discuss that. Even I suppose in the first years, when they really started producing local produce, like fruit, honey, things like that. A major problem they had was also how to sell it. They had a lot of stock. But as you can imagine, with fruit and vegetables, they kind of go off very quickly.
Yeah.
So something very important to them is also the ability to sell them quickly to a large nationwide market. So we're going to look into that a bit later. But the final point I'll make about Mr. Tandong as well is that another thing he can do is that he has some land that he used to tend to himself. But now, because it's too old, he actually lets other people, like the local cooperatives, the government, use his land. And at the end of each year, he also enjoys a dividend because of that.
Oh, that is a great solution to this. The elderly living in the village.
Yeah, that's right. So they have some arable land that if they're too old or they don't have anybody able to tend to it, they can let a local cooperative use it. Yeah, and then they get a dividend share at the end of the year. And one last thing as well, he did tell me as well that the local government also gave him a simple job to do as well, kind of a little bit like a park ranger. So he has like an X number of acres of land, and then every day he kind of does a tour. And I don't know, if you find something wrong, or maybe you find some litter or something like that, then he can help you solve the problem. So he also earns a little bit of income from that as well.
Now we just
So check some comments.
Yes.
Have a biscuit.
Choose one.
First, could you read them for me?
Okay, tell me what's like to live in these counties in Chongqing?
What it's like to live in the counties?
Yeah.
So not Chongqing urban area. No, I mean every time I went to these places, on some of the occasions I did actually stay in the village. So, for example, in Wushan, we stayed in Shuanglong village, and also earlier this month in Yunnan County, also actually stayed in Nishi village as well. And for me, I don't have the experience of living there long term, so I don't know if I actually had to live there for weeks and months. I'm not quite sure how I would fare, but for like 2 or 3 days, I had a really wonderful experience. Because even though we have lots of conveniences and all the entertainment of like living in the big city here, but in the countryside, you really have the fresh air. You have the beautiful countryside, these like really big green mountains, the emerald rivers, and you have the wildlife, and what else? And something else I really appreciate as well is the silence as well. Because when you live in a big city, it doesn't matter if it's Chongqing or Chicago or wherever. I mean, you always kind of have this little buzzing sound going on in the background, 24 hours a day. So when I go out to stay in these places, that's something I really learn to appreciate. And the other thing I really love as well is the country food as well. Because all of the vegetables, the meats and things like that, they're all grown locally and they're all organic.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're not only very healthy, very fresh, but also I do think the taste is different as well. Yeah, it has like a higher quality taste, I think.
They haven't been processed in this plants or factories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when I go to stay in the countryside in these places, I mean, these are some aspects that I really, really appreciate.
And I noticed another photos of that. Just this one. I saw another. Is it wrong?
Just wait a few moments. Our next picture is coming through.
Yeah. Can you tell the story behind these photos?
Okay, I mean, I'll make this one a little bit more brief because his story is actually quite similar to Tandengzhou,
Oh.
the gentleman we've just seen.
Mm.
Yeah, his story is very similar. So a couple of years ago, I mean, he lived in like a mud brick house before, and he told me that he didn't have water. He had to get water from like the local well. He did have electricity, but it was very dangerous. The wiring was in a really bad state, and also the structure of his home was unsafe as well. But when the two known concerns and three guarantees came through, one thing the local government did for him, they sent a team of surveyors to go to his home, and I can't remember exactly, but it was classified as maybe a C or a D. So it's kind of a dangerous house to live in. So over the next few weeks, this team of surveyors, they kind of restructured the building, they strengthened it, they put the bricks in there, they redid all the wiring as well. They also retiled his roof as well, because he said often in the summer and the winter when it was raining, the roof always leaked as well. Yeah, so and actually I went into his home as well. He invited us in, and okay, maybe he doesn't live in like in a luxurious mansion or something like that, but he has everything he needs in there. So he has like all running water. He has his heating. The structure is safe. The roof doesn't leak. So they live a comfortable life in there. But what's similar with Tandengzhou is that I think he suffered from a tumor a couple of years ago, and he had an operation in Chongqing, which also gave him over 100,000 yuan of medical debt. And basically, through the same process, the medical care program, he managed to get most of that covered by the local government. And then for a small amount, he covered himself, and also there were lots of well-wishers that made donations as well. And also, like in Tandengzhou, he also is involved in beekeeping, so he was also trained on how to do that. And he also told me he's doing some other things as well. So he's raising some like livestock as well, also some chickens. So he said his aim was to raise 100 chickens, and also to distill his own rice wine as well. Yeah, so when we left him there, he seemed very happy, and the last word he said was, 我们就要奔小康. Yeah, so,
yeah, and also this year is also this 全面发展小康, just this moderately prosperity in all respect for China. This is also the goal for China to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of liked that term, moderately. So when they say moderately prosperous.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, okay. So what it means, when they rise out of poverty, it doesn't mean that, they live in a very luxurious villa or something like that. They have the basic necessities. They have a comfortable life. But the idea is, and we'll talk about this a bit later as well, is that if they want to become wealthy and affluent, they have to kind of use their own enterprising spirit and their own hard work. So really, when we say moderately prosperous society, I mean basically the society, the government is giving them the platform. So that way they can lead a comfortable life. But beyond that, how affluent, how rich they become, kind of then depends on themselves.
It depends on their talents and their dreams. They show they see how big their dreams are, and they can achieve it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Talking about this infrastructures, and I lived this before, some remote poor area, the infrastructure is quite poor, and also government. It is also priorities for governments at all levels to solve the problems, not only just raise the water pipes to the home and raise heating systems and electricities, but also a lot of countryside, these villages have been covered with internet, like 4G or 5G.
Yeah, so when you talk about infrastructure, I mean, one of the main things that comes to mind is the road network. That is really important as well, and it's really helped the local residents rise out of poverty. So when they produce fruits, honey, what else, or even if it's just like a guest house as well, yeah, so it's possible for people to come and collect the produce and then go and deliver it. And this in the past was not so easy. But yeah, infrastructure projects also happen in other areas as well. So like you mentioned, everybody we've seen so far, Tandenzhou and Zhang Jianfeng, they also have internet in their house. Yeah, they have electricity, running water. Yeah, so when we talk about infrastructure, we're also talking about these as well.
Let me check
some comments.
Comments, yes, no comments. Let me just. I also noticed some more photos.
Okay, and you should try some of these snacks as well.
Oh.
Otherwise, I'm going to eat them all up.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. It's great. Which one?
Okay, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, a bunch of photos.
How about I make you a spoon?
Yeah.
Okay. No. Have you tried a spoon before?
No.
Yeah, I mean the Chinese name is sucumbi, right?
Sucumbi. Oh.
Yeah. In England, when I was a child in England, I loved these. And my grandmother, my mother's side, yeah, she was always an excellent cook. Yeah, maybe the best cook in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we used to go to her home like every Sunday. Yeah, and she'd always cook these things for us, like the scones, jam tarts, things like that. Yeah, so for many decades now, scones have been my favourite snack.
Maybe compare this one with your grandma's cooking.
Yeah.
Your grandma is better than.
Yeah, I expect so. And actually, I mean, these are going to be nice, but they feel a little bit hard.
Yeah.
And I can also make these at home as well. Yeah, so actually, they're not too difficult to make. Right. So here we are. And we will get on to. We will get back on topic. Yeah. So let's get these for you.
I'll remove this photo first, right? To show them for audience.
Okay, I'll say a few words about this one as well. So this girl also lives in Chongqing in Suzhou County, same as Tandenzhou and Zhang Jianfeng. But when President Xi went to Chongqing, their village, he went to visit their school as well, the local primary school. Because in the past, the school wasn't in a good state either, but it had a full refurbishment, had a new building. The courtyard, the playground was completely resurfaced. They also had a new dormitory built as well. So the children, I suppose a lot of the children used to have to go home in the dark, things like that, and had nowhere to stay there. But if they're from a local village, come the evening, they can live at the school now, and it's a safe environment, and they have security there. They also have nice beds, have hygienic bathrooms and things like that. So we went in there to have a look at the premises. But anyway, this girl, I can't remember her Chinese name. Her English name was Jasmine. Actually, I chose that name for her.
Because of this song, the famous song, the Chinese song, Jasmine.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Usually, if people request me to give them an English name, I often listen to their Chinese name first. And if I say their Chinese name, sometimes I just kind of go on gut instinct, if you like. Maybe I just choose a name that comes to mind first. Yeah, and then if they like it, then they can choose to use it if they like. But when President Xi went to Suzhou County in April 2019, he also visited their primary school. And actually, this girl actually got to meet him face to face and share a few words with him as well. So once we learned that actually she only lives maybe a 1 or 2 minute walk from the school gate, we went with a group of other reporters. As we also went to Suzhou with some of the media outlets as well. Went as a big group, and they actually allowed us into their home, and we communicated a bit. Also had a look at her English book. She read me a few paragraphs, and then she also asked me to sign the book as well. Yeah, so as you could imagine, there weren't that many foreign visitors.
Oh.
Yeah, in Zhongyi village. So I think this was a really special experience for the both of us.
Did she mention any feeling after she, saw President Xi?
Yeah, I mean, she didn't go into great detail. I mean, she said she was really happy, but she's kind of a little bit, like a lot of students here, they can be a little bit shy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so when I asked her some questions, she was like a little bit quiet, maybe just answering a few words, and then a big smile. Yeah, so maybe I didn't get to hear exactly how she felt, but obviously she was quite happy and surprised about it. Okay, so I've chosen basically 2 or 3 photographs for each county in Chongqing. So in a few moments we will move on to the next place. But do you have any more comments?
So far, no.
No? Yeah, so feel free.
I got another one. From also Edition. What's the progress in property reduction in Chongqing now?
Okay.
I think.
So I think back in around 2017, 2018, there were 18 highly impoverished towns and villages over the whole of Chongqing municipality. And I think by the end of this year, which is very close, I think they want to make an announcement that all of the impoverished towns and villages in China have succeeded, I think.
Already.
Yeah.
That be in November, around 28th or 27th, and after the Guizhou province announced that all of these poverty-stricken counties in its province shut off the poverty, it means that all of this 832 poverty-stricken counties in whole China has been lifted out of this poverty.
Okay, and in Chongqing municipality, and to be more specific, I think all of the 18 highly impoverished towns and villages have been successful. Yeah, and this year I've been to quite a few of those. Yeah.
Sure. Let's check. Next photo.
Okay, so in the next photo, we're going to see a new location. So let's wait for the photo to load up. That'll jog my memory.
Just travel back to the screen line.
Okay, now I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell the story behind this man here. And also, while I'm talking as well, you can try some of these cakes as well.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Okay, so in May this year, I went with Yiling, our cameraman, to Wushan County. So Wushan is in the far northeast of Chongqing municipality, next to Hubei province. And they had one highly impoverished township, which is called Shuanglong. What does Shuanglong mean? It's an interesting name.
Shuanglong means double dragons.
Yeah.
Shuanglong, double dragons.
Yeah, so double dragon. So that was the only highly impoverished township there, and there was actually a reason for that. So we know the Three Gorges Dam Reservoir. The reservoir area, because it's submerged a lot of land.
Yeah.
And I think at least in Wushan, if not even the whole of Chongqing municipality, I think Shuanglong Township has the highest number of Three Gorges migrants. Okay, and of course, as you can imagine, they moved to somewhere they're not so familiar with. Also, maybe with a lack of resources as well. That it was for this reason that this was one of the poorest places in the municipality. So that has been a big challenge for them.
They started life from the very beginning, right?
Yes, they had to move somewhere that's unfamiliar. Yeah, and maybe they don't have their own business or livelihood to work on. Yeah, so that was the situation in the early days. But again, as we witnessed in May, A lot of work has gone into the local infrastructure. And in the picture we see here, this gentleman is called Liu Jingchun. So his story is very interesting, and also his roots out of poverty was a little bit different from in Shizhu. So if we talk about his basic story, then for many years, he actually, he's a local of Wushan, of Shuanglong village. But like many migrant workers in China, traditionally they work in other provinces, particularly Guangdong, because there's a lot of industry over there. So for many years, he worked as a labourer in Guangdong. But then he had a problem because he has a son, but his son also needed medical treatment as well. And that also left him with a lot of medical expenses. But then in the same way, he also benefited from the medical program, which allowed him to cover a lot of these expenses. But after that, the reason he was able to stay in Wushan was because of a new program called low interest loans. Have you heard of those before?
Not quite well. Can you just give more details about that?
Okay, so Liu Jingchun, he opened a vineyard. Okay, so every year, he turns to his vineyard, and during the summer months, he sells all of his grapes, and that provides the biggest part of his yearly income. But of course, in the early days, he didn't have enough money to invest in it, because there's lots of investments. You had to do some training. You also have to buy the trees, bushes. I don't know, is it grape trees or vines? And also you have to buy all the trusses, the irrigation, things like that. So there were some considerable expenses involved in it. So he benefited from a low interest loan. And how it works is, if you are approved for it, the local government will give you a 50,000 yuan loan. Again, perhaps about 6,000 to 7,000 US dollars. And I think after a small buffer period, so you have enough time to invest the money and actually start earning something from it. But from that moment on, then you repay the loan monthly over 3 years, and the government actually pays the interest on the loan for it. So it was thanks to this program that he was able to invest in his vineyard. And it has a lot of benefits. So not only does it give him a good income every year, it also allows him to live with his family as well. Because if he was still working in Guangdong, he would be separated from his wife and his child. So obviously, that's not an ideal situation.
Ideal situation. So I think many local governments in Chongqing have adopted such similar programs to attract these mobilized workers to come back to their hometown to develop the agriculture or some other agriculture related products programs. And also, in some areas they have got this handicrafts products which had been handed down generation and generation later. Have you heard about embroidery?
Oh, embroidery, of course.
Yeah, especially from this Miao ethnic groups.
And also Tujia as well. They're good at it as well.
Yeah, some story I heard they just apply this embroideries on the qipao or some other fashion articles, and then still the government just organizes campaign or promotion online to sell it. And so for the women living in that area, they can sell their products and handmade products to outside of their living area. It's just like they turned this fingertip art into money. That money will go back directly to the farmers' parties. That it also helps them just lift out poverty.
Of course, and the embroidery skills are very intricate as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something I could do.
Yeah,
you'll never see me being able to learn that. But I do really love the products, and they've also gained extra publicity as well, because I know the government has also organised that some of these embroidery products also feature in some international fashion shows as well. I've heard of that, so it's getting a big name, at least nationwide in China, if not internationally as well. Yeah. So the last thing, there was one more thing I wanted to say about Liu Jingchun as well, the gentleman in the picture. So in his first year, he also had a problem that I spoke about a few minutes ago. That problem is that he has a lot of produce, but he doesn't. He had a problem with access to a market. So in the first year, he almost had to waste a lot of the grapes because he couldn't find anybody to buy them. So in that first year, a lot of the local officials helped him by taking photographs of the grapes and putting them in their WeChat moments, kind of like the news feed. Yeah, and that way they managed to get enough publicity in other cities and also in Chongqing urban area. So just about he was able to sell all of his grapes that year. But obviously, he doesn't want to go through this every year, and you want to kind of feel safe in the knowledge that you're going to be able to sell all of your stock. So again, from the second year, he also was getting involved in e-commerce as well. And in a while, we're going to see some more photographs where we can talk about this in more detail.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget to keep those comments coming as well. I really love the interaction.
Which the destination want to show? Let's see.
No, you want to have any more of these?
No,
you know. Oh, okay, right. So you go to the next photo then.
Yeah. Oh, this one.
Okay, it's coming. Okay, so here we have another poverty alleviation scheme as well. So this man is called Song Gongbai. So he was just a rural farmer in the countryside in Wushan. But as you can see, he is kind of a little bit old now. Yeah, so he reached the stage where he wasn't able to work in the fields, but he still wanted to be active in life and earn an income. So he had a very good idea. So the business he now runs from his workshop in I can't remember the exact name of the village, but in Shuanglong Township, he sells carved red leaves, the maple leaves.
Maple leaves is very delicate from this photo.
It is very delicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the pattern's also very intricate as well. So it takes him quite a long time to carve out a piece of artwork.
Yeah, this kind of this like handicrafts, this kind of products just can be done at home. And how does he sell this kind of products outside of village?
He has two main ways of doing it. One is through e-commerce. Yeah, and the other one is I think through tourists as well, and I think there are also some outlets, some shops, who are cooperating with them as well to kind of display the products and also help him sell them. But actually, this workshop, the red leaf carvings, wasn't originally his own idea. It's actually the first company or the workshop to make these is actually based in Banan district, which is quite close to us here in the urban area. So there's a workshop called Minggui Tang. So I actually know the owner of that. So I think he received a request for help. So what he did, he travelled to Wushan to the workshop of Mr. Song Gongbai, and over a number of days, a number of weeks, he taught them how to make these carvings. And I think the arrangement is that he kind of produces his own artwork now. But for the support, the Mingui Tang in Bannan district maybe takes a 10% cut or something like that.
Yeah.
But now he has a lot of experience, and as you can see behind him, he has a lot of artwork
Yes.
on display.
Mm-hmm.
So now he is able to, it's just sort of, for him, it's also like a hobby as well. It's something he really enjoys. So now, and also, unlike agriculture, this is something you can do all year round. Because even though the red leaves are only on view maybe between November, maybe until end of December or January, but what they do, they have people who go into the countryside, they pick the leaves, they have them dried and then vacuum packed. So really every year they can prepare enough red leaves basically to last them the full year. So in all seasons, basically, he can make the red leaf carvings and sell them.
So a lot of people get involved in this handicrafts, including the people collect leaves, and also this is kind of employment, right? They also get paid for the.
Yeah, exactly. So of course, most of their income comes from selling the red leaves, but they also have other activities as well. So in his workshop, he also has a kind of like a guest room as well. So sometimes like local children or even adults, I suppose, if they want to learn, they can organise a group and they can go to his workshop. And I suppose in return for a small fee, he will also teach them how to make these carvings as a group activity.
It's a good way to pass down the skills to the next generations. And I also say that not only the government get involved in this poverty alleviation campaign, but also social organizations like those enterprises and academies and also universities.
That's right.
No, it's cheap. No.
Any more comments?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's his basic story. And of course now he's living quite well off the income.
Let's move to the next photos. So we just share more photos today.
Yeah, let's just go through them, and of course, again, to say to our audience, you're welcome to make comments and ask us questions.
Yes.
Okay, that's that loads up. I'm just going to pour some more tea as well. No, you've got some tea. It's gonna get cold. But it's really good. Every now and then the lady comes along and she gives us a refill, doesn't she? So we're not going to run out.
Oh, this picture we brought a lot of this colorful leaves.
Okay, so do you know where this picture was taken? I've got a feeling you've been here before, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. It was taken in Chongqing, right? Yeah.
So can you talk about your experience when you went there?
Well, I went there. It's a summer and because Chongqing is quite hot in summer. It's like 40 degrees.
Yeah.
It's you cannot stand this heating over here. But so we went over there, and over there before it were very poor, and people live their life were not so. Their living conditions were not so good. But after this poverty alleviation campaign started, and people over there began to run their own business by, for example, run this agri-retirement, for building their own house into this inn or some our hotels to which can host many or provide accommodations to these visitors to live in, to have to test their local food and to spend the whole summer over there. And meanwhile, you stay in this very natural place. You're surrounded by all of these mountains and this stream, these rivers just living by your house. It's just like a poetic life over there. Like people who live in the modern city who has always dreamed of this kind of life.
Okay, what's interesting about Chongqing, I think before, is maybe the most remote County in Chongqing.
Yes.
Because in Chongqing, when I went there were mountains everywhere, very high mountains. And in fact, I think the elevation, for example, of Kangu, which is where this photograph was taken, the elevation is perhaps over 2,000 meters.
Yes, yes.
So that's one of the main reasons why people love going there in the summer now. It's a good way of getting away from the summer heat, because it's very hot here in the Chongqing urban area. But also, Chongqing is the first place to have major snows every winter as well. And now the infrastructure is very good. It's actually safe to drive there yourself in the winter. And some of the local officials did tell me as well that perhaps in January and February they can have a few feet of snow up there. So, and as you can imagine, the scenery there is going to be very beautiful as well. Yeah, so I can see actually already about 50 minutes. I mean, the time has gone like so quickly. Today we're about 50 minutes in. Wow, 50 minutes. Okay, I'm going to try and go through these photos a bit more quickly. Okay, so basically with this photograph, we can kind of see the buildings on the left. So I think this was a private investment. So they built a resort basically. So like a guest house resort. And they've got lots of rooms there, maybe over 100 rooms. But throughout the summer, it's completely booked. Yeah, it's almost impossible. Actually, not only here, but also the whole village in Kangu. Everywhere is booked solid. Yeah, because people really love to come here to get away from the summer heat.
I remember the last time I went over there, the rent is very, it's a little bit cheap compared with the outside, but the condition over there is very good. It's just like we can rent one room for 1 month, like 2,000 RMB, and also the 3 meals are included in that.
Yeah, and what I really loved about this guest house as well is that the buildings, they're very modern in the sense that they're very clean. They have electricity, internet, cable TV, hot showers, things like that. But at the same time, they're also very traditional. So this guest house, as well as the bricks, actually had the round walls as well. Kind of like the earthen walls, and the roof tiles, also very traditional as well. So you kind of enjoy modern comforts, but also the traditional lifestyle experience as well, which people really love. And they told me that in the summer as well. I mean, the main road outside is just packed with cars as well. This place is so popular, and many of the local residents, they also grow their own food there. I mean, like I mentioned, that's one of the big attractions for me and other people. But people, they love to. I forgot what I was going to say. But anyway, it's a very popular summer resort, and a lot of the local people who were in poverty, they also invested, I know, in their own guest houses. Some of them thanks to low interest loans, and during the summer they can earn plenty of money to basically sustain them throughout the year.
Yeah, it's a pretty move too.
Time goes so quickly doing these live streams. You wouldn't believe it. So, I think our aim was 40 minutes?
Yeah.
It's okay. I'm not in a hurry, and I'm really enjoying. The discussion and also the.
I'm kind of
the snacks.
Enjoying to listen to your experience. Oh, this one.
Okay, so this one is also in Chongqing. I'm just going to go straight to the point of this one. So this village is called Xiuqizhen. So Xiuqi town. And this town was also in the past was very remote, but now you can see you've got this very colourful bridge that leads across the river from the main road. Yeah, so now the people who live there, are kind of connected to civilization.
Yeah, like the houses, they have been painted into colors.
Yeah, so a lot of them in the past they lived in perhaps substandard housing. So a lot of the houses in the village have been refurbished, and they're now very attractive as well. I mean, perhaps you can't see very clearly on this photograph, but up close, the houses are painted in different colours, kind of like this bridge here. But I'll say one other unique aspect of this village is that the local government had a program to kind of raise their cultural awareness, if you like. So perhaps in the past, the residents maybe spent their time maybe having arguments, maybe playing mahjong, the popular card game that beat the landlord here.
It's like gambling.
Yeah, drunken parties, littering, fishing in the river, things like that. So what they do now, they kind of have a scoring system. Yeah, so they kind of try to convince the residents, to play less, mahjong and cards and things like that. So, for example, when he arrived there, one activity we saw was they were having the coin stick dance. Have you heard of that? It's called the Qiangun Wu.
Oh,
You've heard of that?
I saw that. And this I also watched a group of lady just dances this Qiangun Wu, a type of dancing.
Okay, so the coin stick. So basically, they have a stick, maybe a bit longer than like what you would have in a majorette. It's like a long cane, but at the end, kind of maybe like a rattlesnake, if you like. They have like an empty end of the cane, and inside they actually have some coins. So when they do the dance, they swing the cane around, and you can actually hear the coins jingling in the cane. So yeah, we saw that. They were having a really good time. It gives them exercise, and they're kind of doing something that has more cultural value. And also saw as well, they have like a scoreboard in the village as well. So if some of the villages do some things that are classed as uncivilized, then they kind of go towards the bottom of the list. And also there's also a mushroom production base as well, which a lot of them are involved in. And I think most of the villagers have a small dividend which they take from the profits from the mushrooms. Kind of depending on how much trouble or how well they behave, they can kind of receive more or less of this dividend every year. So they've got they've got a lot of incentives to kind of live a more, let's say, like a civilized lifestyle, if you like.
It's pretty.
Okay, let's go to the next one. For this tea. I feel like I'm in England again.
Sure.
Okay, bear with us, it's coming. Okay, so actually we're still in Chongqing. Getting straight to the point, on the screen here is e-commerce software. So we've said before, a big difficulty in the early days was that farmers they didn't have anybody to sell. I mean, they had the infrastructure, but they didn't actually have any markets. They couldn't find enough buyers. So one thing that they've been able to do is to invest in these e-commerce platforms. And now, whenever you go to these small villages and towns in the Chongqing countryside, almost every village now has a e-commerce office, and they can offer support and technical support to the local farmers, teach them how to use it, get them registered, and when they're ready to sell. I know these platforms are very easy to use, and I know a lot of them also host live broadcasts as well. So people from all over the country, like all over China, can watch the broadcasts, or they can tap into these e-commerce applications. And if they like what they see, they can buy them.
I think that this e-commerce now is just like an express way for people, in modern sense.
Sure.
People just like shorten the distance.
Yeah, between producer and buyer.
Yeah.
So the e-commerce, I mean, it's important not to underestimate how important this has been. So the e-commerce side of things, even though maybe it came a little bit later, it's also played a very important role in people rising out of poverty. And also benefits the consumers as well, because I've tried a lot of these products myself, like the local honey, the local food.
It's
it's always really good.
High.
Yeah, and good price as well.
And quite fresh.
Sure.
Yeah. And then
Okay, next one's coming.
this one. Am I right?
Okay, yes. Again, I'm going to go through this quickly. So this is the Ai. I'm going to be careful not to call it the Auntie River. I keep saying Ai.
Ai means aunt, right?
Yeah, like Auntie, yeah. But the pronunciation is very similar, so it's easy for somebody like me to confuse the two. So do you know what the Ai River is famous for?
Ai, just rafting.
Yeah, mostly the rafting.
Yeah.
They also have a lot of rapids down there, so you can go in one of these rubber boats with people like the dinghies, and this one is particularly long. I mean, this one leads, I think it takes about 7 hours to drift all the way down to the Wu River. Yeah, that runs through Guizhou and also Fengshui, and I think it also leads into the Yangtze River in Fulian County. Getting to the point. Actually, this is a very popular tourist destination. I think now it's maybe like 5A.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really kind of a high quality tourist destination in Chongqing, but it's also very recent. I think it's only been completed in the last few years, and also this area of Fengshui County is inhabited by maybe the biggest population of Miao.
Yeah.
Yes. Minority people. And for many years, they lived in poverty. But a lot of the Miao people are now involved in tourism. So if you go to the Ai River resort, you can see they're doing performances there. I mean, they staff like the local village. They help people. They do the oars on the rafts. Yeah, they do all sorts of things. Also like dancing as well. The Miao people, especially the women, are excellent singers as well. Have you ever heard them sing?
Yeah, I heard of some of them sing this folk songs is very beautiful. Just describe their normal lives or some lyrics about their love to their boyfriend or husband, just like that.
Yeah, so the Miao minority, I mean, they have amazing voices. Just very, very clear, and also quite high pitched as well. Yeah, so and when we were on the raft as well, the oarsmen also sang in tandem with the boats as well. And actually, if you look carefully on the website, you can find my article with a small video of him singing, and I would really recommend that. That was an amazing experience. Okay, so the main point is that the Miao minority here lived in poverty for a long time, but thanks to investments in this new 5A tourist attraction. Through employment, they have been able to rise out of poverty. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of photos for you today. Maybe I prepared 15 or 16 for you. So I'm going to try and go through them a bit more quickly now and just keep to the point. These big fingers. Like this. Here it comes. I'm going to keep this one very quick. So again, in Fengshui County, not far out of the main city, there's a place called Chiyoujiulicheng. Have you heard of that place?
I haven't been to that place, but I have saw this Chiyoujiulicheng, this great architecture. Yeah,
so basically it's a stockade, it's a Miao minority stockade village. So it's just like a traditional Miao village, and the people who live and work there are all Miao minority people. And if you go there, there are lots of cultural experiences. You can learn some of the farming techniques, embroidery, and have lots of song and dance in there. But this is a new pavilion. I think it was opened in cooperation with the Chinese company Tencent. And if you go inside here, it's just basically, it's like a poverty alleviation pavilion, if you like. So if you go in there, you can see displays of poverty alleviation products, those specialty products. And when we were in there, I mean, we were also joined by a lot of consuls from consulates in Chongqing, Chengdu, Kunming. And with that, you can watch performances, and they also have videos as well. And the video we watched was about the Huojiguo. So Huojiguo is like a red berry. It's a red berry called Huoji. Maybe just like a maybe native to that area of Chongqing. It's like a red berry. And what they do, they invested in this kind of agriculture, so their production is now very high. And what they do, they press the berries and they make it into like a canned drink. Yeah, and they sell this all over Chongqing and all over China. And it's also been a very successful example of poverty eradication. Yeah, so basically this is like an experience pavilion for tourists to go and learn more about local poverty alleviation. Yeah, I think this one just use 2 fingers again. Okay, just a few more left. There's number 11. So this is the Miao minority. So during our trip to Pengshui, I mean, apart from Trio Jiulicheng, the Miao minority stockade village, and the Ai River, this is also a new tourist destination. But this is like a native village called Luojiatuo. And actually, everyone in the village has the Chinese surname of Luo. They all share the common ancestor. So maybe their community was very remote. So everybody kind of just stayed together in this village. But they did live in poverty for many years. But with local investments, all of their properties have been renovated, and they have lots of traditional experiences. And this is like a kind of dance they do. So yeah, like the bamboo dance. So what you can see on either side, we've got lines of people holding these bamboo poles, and they in tandem, like in rhythm. They kind of bring them closer together, and then it's kind of like da 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 like that. And what you do, we also took it in turns to have a little dance with the Miao women. So you take their hand, and then basically you just got to get your timing right with your steps. Otherwise, your ankles are going to get trapped in the bamboo poles. But that didn't happen. Actually, when we did it, the movement was actually quite slow.
How did you do in this dancing?
Actually, no, my dancing is not very hot. But I managed to get by. Yeah. But the important thing was that it was great fun.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I remember as a kid in England, we used to have dance lessons at my old school, at the primary school and high school. But and we never really took it seriously because because we always used to think the dance was the thing that the girls did. So we always kind of felt a bit embarrassed to do it. But now I kind of regret now. Now I'm older, that I took it more seriously in those days. Okay, well, this is from my recent trip to Yunyang County in Nishi Village, and I took this photograph in the e-commerce center. So this is e-commerce again. But what's unique about this one is that the functions are very advanced. So in real time, you can see all of the production fields. So in the field in the picture, this is the Nishi black fungus. And the information either side, has everything, sales nationwide in real time. But it also has information for the farmers as well. So, for example, if they find there's lots of pests, then it'll send a message, and then they'll send people into the fields to go and deal with the problem. So yeah, and it also has other information as well, like stock, and how much fungus or other products have they got left to sell to people.
So who owns this plants? The farmers, they hold the shares on them?
Yeah, I mean, normally these larger scale places are normally cooperatives. So it's not like one person who owns it. So it could be a number of families and perhaps with the involvement of some outside businessmen as well. Yeah, but a lot of these sometimes take up enormous amounts of land, sometimes tens, even like hundreds of acres. So there'd be too much work for just like one family or a small group to handle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say in my experience, most of these are run as cooperatives. Okay, let's just go on to the next one. It's coming. Bear with us. This one just takes a few moments. This was also taken in Nishi town. This is also a local specialty. Yeah, this is the dried mushrooms. Yeah, so normally they put them in these black tents. So inside there, the air is very cool and they're very moist. And they have lots of these logs which are produced locally, like in the forests, and they kind of drill holes in them and they put the fungi spores in there and grow them. They take about 7 or 8 months to grow. They mostly grow over the winter, and then around June, July, they're ready for harvesting. So, and the fungi are actually grow to be really big. They have like really big strands of them. And when they remove them from the logs, they then have to put them out in the sun, perhaps on the roadside, to dry for maybe a couple of days. Yeah, and then they can be cleaned, packed and sold to consumers nationwide. And then what's interesting as well is that the logs, they don't just throw them away because they don't reuse them year to year. But instead of discarding them and perhaps polluting the environment, they have like a special factory in Nishi town, which actually turns the logs into charcoal, if you believe it. Yeah. So all of the resources get reused or recycled. Yeah.
And this lady is an owner or just an employee?
Employee. Yeah. So not everybody in the rural communities kind of become a big boss, if you like. A lot of the rural residents they have differing levels of ambition.
And also this job just solved this employment.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's also a lot of poverty alleviation through local employment as well. Haven't tried these cakes yet.
Later. I believe it smells good and taste must be good.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah. This
is in Nishi village as well. Oh, okay, I keep switching out. It's really Nishi town. If I say Nishi village, I mean Nishi township. So our way of thinking about a town is a little bit different to in Western countries. So when you say a township here in China, it's actually still quite a big area. And actually in this area, there can be lots of individual villages. Okay, so if I say Nishi village, I really mean Nishi township. This is also another poverty alleviation scheme there. So I met a man here, he's a local businessman and entrepreneur. He was called Mr. Liang Bing. And he invested a lot of money in this agricultural resort. So they have a lot of guest inns, and a lot of accommodation, and entertainment and food. So again, you have that very nice blend of modern living conditions, but in kind of traditional style villages. But this is not actually the main attraction of it. So this is a agricultural experience park. So you go through here, and you can see the traditional Chinese farming implements. Some of them are even like centuries old. So a lot of the things I saw in here, I had absolutely no idea what they were. In the picture here, this is kind of like a mill, I think maybe for crushing wheat, something like that. Yeah, but they've got other things in there. I mean, they teach youngsters in the summer how to make the wicker baskets. Um, what else? You have the displays of farming implements. So they kind of teach you how to use some of them as well. And the biggest attraction here was actually a traditional mill as well. So they have a hill with a stream, and they direct the water down into one of these water wheels. And then when the water wheel turns, it actually turns like a wooden and stone mill inside the building, and it turns like the wheat into this powdered, into this wheat powder, in real time. So that was a really exciting experience for us.
Yeah, it's seldom to be seen in nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the first traditional milling machine I've ever seen. Yeah, I never seen one like that before. It was really quite fascinating. Okay, there's not many left. Maybe 2 or 3 photos. But I've really enjoyed talking about them today. So I kind of feel that I can talk about these stories almost forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so this last photo, which is coming up now, this was taken last week in Fungjie. So I went to Fungjie last week with Sasha Hu and Zhengdeng, our cameraman. And we went there mostly to go and report on the Fungjie Poetry Festival, and also there's like a consumer-driven poverty alleviation conference. There was also a Fungjie Orange exhibition as well, which if you were watching us last week, we actually did a live stream from there as well. But our last stop on our trip to Fungjie was to this orchard. So this orchard is called Qianqiu Bang. So I actually gave them an English name because Qianqiu, I actually called it Thousand Hills. So Thousand Hills Orchard. So that's what I call the place. So they have about 80 acres of land. So and it's in a beautiful location. It's on a hillside, directly overlooking the Yangtze River. And they invited us to go there, and I went with Sasha and Deng into the orchard, and we tried a hand at picking the oranges. And later, Sasha went away with the owner to go and do an interview. And I went with some of the local farmers down to the Yangtze River because I was really curious to go down to the water side. And what do you think? Because we're in the middle of winter, do you think the water was hot or cold? What do you think? What do you think, Kelly?
Yeah, it's true. But the others.
No, it was warm. It was very warm.
Really?
Yeah.
How did that be possible?
Yeah, I thought exactly the same thing. And I asked them, how could this be? And actually, the explanation makes sense. Because, in the summer, the water level is very high. That's because the water is mostly coming from the glaciers, from the Himalayas. Yeah, from the ice in the mountains. So when the water comes through Chongqing, it's still very cold. But, normally the water maybe goes back down, maybe around the end of August, early September. And, it's still kind of hot in Chongqing. Well, it's at least still very warm, kind of late into October.
Yes.
Yeah, and at that time, there's not a lot of water flow, because there's also the dam, Dan River. So that just means the water in the Yangtze just keeps its warmth. Yeah, and they told me, in the summer, you can just go in your swimming trunks, you can go swim in the water, and it's very comfortable. I think actually they said the worst part is actually coming out of the water because the air is very cold. Yeah, but if you try swimming in the winter, it's really cold apparently, and they don't do it, or at least not so much.
The last one.
Okay, last one.
Yes.
Is it 16? Oh, it's at the bottom. Are there any more? Oh, this one, yeah.
No?
Yeah, just the last one is hidden away at the bottom. We found it. I expect this one is also from Fungjie. Okay, this is what I was talking about. This was really a prompt, So this is the Yangtze. I put my hand in, and I was expecting the water to be freezing cold. Yeah, but I was amazed. It was so warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next time I go to Fungjie, I'll remember to take my swimming trunks.
Yeah, I remember that.
All right, so should we put ourselves back on the main screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so do we have any more comments?
No.
Any questions? No? Very quiet.
Very quiet.
Okay, so Kelly, have you enjoyed the broadcast today?
Yes, I enjoyed it, and actually through your interview experience, I also have seen a great achievement. This poverty alleviation campaign have done that so many people have been lifted out of poverty.
That's right, and always the best way to learn about it is maybe not just by reading about it in an article. I mean, it's been a real privilege for me to actually travel to these places and see the improvements in their lives, and also communicate with the local farmers and with the local residents myself. So, as I hope you've managed to sense from our live stream today, I have so many stories from my trips into the countryside this year. I feel like I could, go on for hours and hours. Okay, so is there anything else we need to add?
No comments, and so I think we should call it a day.
Okay, and how long have we been going? Going 1 hour, 20 minutes. Right, so actually I've talked double the time I actually planned to. But that just shows, how many stories I feel I have to share from the Poverty Alleviation series this year.
6 photos girls with 16 stories.
That's right.
Yeah, behind that. Just thank you for sharing your experience with us.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I really enjoy doing these live streams, and I'm already looking forward to doing the next one as well. And it's really good that we can kind of get out of the office and choose a special location.
So cozy.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely the coziest live stream I've done so far. So next time we'll find another interesting place in Chongqing to bring you a live stream. Okay, so I say thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you've really enjoyed our stories, and also thank you very much to Kelly for doing all the hard work in the background.
And now we just hope you guys enjoy this show or program and enjoy this Jameson experience sharing with about this poverty alleviation over China.
Okay, and I suppose the last thing for us to do then is we've got to finish all of these cakes and sandwiches. Yeah, so we better finish the live stream, polish these off, and then I suppose we want to get back home before the traffic builds up.
It's no matter where you are, just enjoy your day.
Yeah, well, wherever you are in the world, thank you very much for joining us, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. And again, don't forget to subscribe to iChongqing. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.